Hello everybody and welcome to another one in our series Breaking Down Barriers. My name is Chris Igwe and these videos are inspired by my book Breaking Down Barriers, My Journey from a Small African Village to the World Stage. I'll bring you a chapter, very short, and give you some thoughts and insights and encourage you to give deep and clearer thought to yourself as you are building whatever journey or whatever path you are on. Now this one is a really important one for us, whether as a human being or as a businessman or businesswoman. And this is about having core values and why core values are crucially important. So first of all, what are core values? Well, there are many. And I'd like you actually to look at it closer and say, what are your own core values? What are the values that you live, and pardon the expression, but you die by? In other words, you have absolute belief that this is fundamentally you. I'll give you a few examples. Integrity, compassion, caring, honesty, trustworthiness, listening. There are many others that you can come up with as well. But what I want you to do is to ask yourself, what are the core foundational values that you absolutely live by? Because essentially these core values they're like your DNA. They should not change. DNA doesn't change anyway, but your core values should not change. What do I mean by that? Well, as an example, and I can take my own career, my own experience. One of my key core values is integrity. Integrity is absolutely crucial to me. It's fundamental, it's foundational. Act with integrity, behave with integrity, receive people and respect people with integrity. And so I've been in situations where I've led teams, I've run departments, run my own business. But in the case of when I was in corporate, and the business said, you have to terminate so-and-so's position, or so-and-so, we don't feel a need for him or her anymore. But me running my own team and my own department was to say, no, that is unfair and unacceptable. And you may think this is rather naive, but I put my job on the line in a couple of situations. And I was happy to put my job on the line. I said, if you expect me to terminate him or her's employment, then I'm leaving as well. That wasn't a threat. That's not a threat. I don't threaten. If I say, I do. If I can't do it, I'll say I can't do it. But I was absolutely clear that was an unfair decision, unfair choice, and that individual, or those individuals in those cases, did not deserve it. That for me is my integrity. That is my boundary. That is a point beyond which I will not go. And if they fired me or asked me to leave, that's okay. I was ready for it. I was in my prime in the industry. Even today, I get calls from headhunters all the time. But they've realized I'm not going back into corporate, so they call me for different reasons. But I was in my prime. I could have gone anywhere without too much difficulty, found another job, better paid and everything else. But I liked where I was and I liked my team. So I wasn't scared of getting fired. That wasn't the point. It's just like my integrity is my integrity. My loyalty, which is another core value to have, to these individuals that I was developing and growing, deserved better. So what are your core values and how do you hold on to them? Roy Disney, co-founder of the Walt Disney Company, said, it's not hard to make decisions when you know what your values are. It is not hard to make decisions when you know what your values are, because that is your needle. Is it always pointing north to whatever that core value is, or is it all over the place in some magnetic field that is messing with it? You shouldn't allow your core value to play upon you in that particular way. So essentially, core values they're your guiding light. They are the sort of things when the storms of life, which happen all the time, every day, there's always something. When they come along, you know what your boundaries are, what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. You don't suddenly turn around and when you're put under pressure, you say, well, it wasn't my fault, it was his or hers. You say, no, it was my fault, or it was my responsibility, more importantly. I make these decisions and these choices, and I make them based on what I think and know is right. Today we live in a world where it depends on who spoke to you last and about what, and how they influence you, how they change your thinking. Now, I'm not going down some sinister path about the way in which we are manipulated. That exists, that's existed since time began. That's nothing new. We just have technologies that allow that to change. But I, for one, have a very clear view of my world and how I treat people and how I expect to be treated. So when you look at these core values and you break them down, or I break them down, I look at the ones which are absolutely crucial, which will not change, and which can be used in different situations. So for example, if you're good at listening, then listen. You don't want to be in a situation where somebody really wants to tell you something, and for whatever reason, you're distracted. Make it a conscious decision that where you are having that conversation with someone, you are in the zone and you are listening. If you're someone who is compassionate, use compassion to show somebody else. If you're someone who has emotional intelligence and you can read the room, then do so. Don't allow your core values to be something you just call upon willy-nilly or different stages. They should absolutely live in you and function through you. That helps people to understand also who you are, what you are made of. And quite frankly, it opens up the door for people to come closer to you, to share more intimately with you, to know that they can trust you. You know the old saying, if you want something done, give it to someone who's busy. Because you know that that person who's busy is able to plan it and structure it and get it done, as opposed to somebody who says, yeah, give it to me and I'll get it done. And then days and weeks and months go by and it doesn't get done. Because they're pretending. It's not part of their core value of how they behave. So I very much encourage you to look closer at core values and see how they can help you in your own life. And what I encourage you to do, one of the action items which I have in my chapters, is list out the core values. As I've just done, I've given you 5 or 6 or 7. What are your core values? What is that list? And then the question relating to that is, how do you cultivate it? How do you build on it? How do you make it stronger? How do you test it? Like my example of, I wouldn't fire people because it was against my integrity, it was against my belief system. I considered it unfair and I was not going to go through with it. How far are you willing to go to protect and hold on to your core values? I hope this has resonated. Please feel free to like, comment and share, and of course come back for other videos when they're available. But think about these core values. If you haven't thought enough about it, think about it. Delve into yourself. Maybe ask people. If you don't know or you're not sure, ask people close to you, those who you work with or those who you're in a relationship with or whatever. What are my core values? Give them some idea if they're not familiar with core values, and let them come back to you and say, oh, you're good at doing this or you're good at doing that. But it's got to be integral, innate, inside you, a part of the way in which you operate, the way you think, the way you act. Because in that way, firstly, it gives you peace and comfort, but it gives others peace and comfort as well. So until the next time, thank you.